I got the tree. Here's the backyard. And start.
So yeah, grandma's sick, so I'm in Labasa right now. It's like a very rural-ish area on like the other side of the country.
And it's really dusty, so yeah.
Yeah, it's really dusty. And very dry and very hot. Like, I think I got like 3 shades darker just by like being here for like 2 days.
Yeah, I know, and so much changed.
Yeah, I know. Might as well record everything here before it like goes away.
This is what we call a Sugarcane tree, and it used to be really big. I mean, that's all I can remember. And I know we used to climb it.
Yeah. Okay, this is the only tree I could climb when I was small.
That's sad.
Yeah, as she mentioned, it's a Sugarcane tree. It produces Sugarcane.
Yeah. The leaves don't taste that good. It's kind of like spinach, but Indian style.
It's bitter tangy, and like the tree produces a very weird red gum when you cut it.
I know. I used to think that was chewing gum.
Yeah. It's been 8 years since I've been here, by the way.
Yep, that's a really long time.
Yes.
What's that again?
I'm not sure what this is called. It was like a giant tree that produces like these straw-shaped flowers with like these square, like these 4 tipped stars at the end. I'm not sure what it's...
Oh, wait, were those the ones where you can like sip the nectar from?
Yeah, like you can pull it off and then you can pull the stem out, and attached to the stem is like a drop of nectar.
Yeah, those are so tasty for some reason. I don't know, it was weird.
Yeah, so like a hornet's nest, like a bunch of hornets.
Hornet nests?
Yeah, a bunch of hornets sort of made a nest in here, like a paper one. Like we got mud hornets and then there's the paper ones. I think there's a hornet's nest somewhere up there. We'll cover that soon.
No.
So your grandfather, back when he's still alive, he took like a stick with some fire attached to the end, and he just sort of burnt it.
Wow. Okay.
Oh yeah, and this used to be kind of a workshop type thing. There used to be 3 huge machines here, and they would like, Uncle would like bring a Yangona grog cover, whatever you want to call it, tons of grog, and just pound it and then resell the pounded grog in town.
Wait, have you ever tasted grog?
No, I don't drink grog. There's also like bits of metal, wheel that's used for sharpening stuff, that sort of thing. In the shed, there's some more tools for the tractor, and there's this huge silo full of rice, brown rice. It's like the husk is removed, but it hasn't been polished or bleached yet, so it still has bits of brown on it. Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of turmeric plants behind the shed. These were planted a couple of months ago, and they take about 2 years to fully mature. So yeah, this is all for personal use. There's also a line of eggplants here, and some scrap wood. Oh yeah, here's a big pawpaw tree. It's like so big it's basically useless. We can't even get any of the fruit just down.
Oh my goodness, that's huge.
Yeah. And also some curry leaves here. So yeah, from that hedge over there, that's where the neighbor's land starts.
Yeah.
I think there's an old well there too for some reason.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is like the back of the house.
Yeah, the bathroom and the toilet are here, so...
Yep.
There's a couple of old sound systems that don't work anymore. There's this pawpaw tree here. It was planted about 4 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And
it just started fruiting, by the way.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and that part over there, that's the garden.
It used to be the garden.
Yeah.
Like this used to be, I think, Nani's garden, one of Nani's gardens.
Yeah.
Yeah, this used to be one of Nani's gardens. There used to be a whole bunch of like tomatoes, eggplants.
Things we use to actually cook and eat inside. They're kind of good, but now it's just all twigs and everything's dead.
Yeah. You know, people are sick and there's not many people around, so this place got neglected a bit.
But there is another garden around. We can show that later.
Yeah, like 2 more.
Yep.
No, so this is grandfather's old tractor. There's like a little seat in the back that he can take stuff in. It's still in use. Uncle uses it now for his various farms. Oh yeah, and here's another shed next to that one. This is also used for storing rice, some motor oil, and diesel, like a tank of diesel for the tractor. And also next to it is a custard apple tree. It's been around for ages.
If you're wondering why it's so windy, it's because we're gonna have a cyclone. So welcome to Fiji, people, where you get a cyclone like almost every February.
No, I
Except
think
that it's not
I don't think it's coming to Labasa directly. I think it's going around Labasa and hitting Nani.
Oh.
But we're gonna get a bunch of rain and stuff. It's gonna suck. So yeah, this is an old borehole. They used to get all their water from a little well back behind the house. At some point, they had a drilling company come in, and the company drilled about a 6-inch wide hole down to groundwater. And they had to use like a pump. It is actually quite expensive because they had to use like a very powerful pump to pump all the water out from ground level up to a small holding tank. And here's a little religious shed.
It's like a temple, but
In a
home
shed.
temple. Like you have the idols in there and stuff. My grandma likes to go there, except that she's a bit sick right now.
Yeah, that's our grandma's thing. Oh yeah, and these are those needle-like star-shaped flowers I was talking about.
Yeah, the ones that you can like have the nectar from.
Yeah, like see if we can get it. Does it focus? Is it focusing?
Now it is.
Is it focusing?
Yeah, it's focused.
So yeah, this is what it looks like. You can pull out the stem, and there we go. You got a tiny drop of nectar on it. Can you see it? Can you see it?
It's not in focus.
Can you?
Wait, let me. Nope, not in focus.
Damn it. Okay, there's a tiny drop of nectar on this thing.
And they also come in different colors. So yeah, they can be very pretty.
So yeah, there used to be an old shed here, like an old thatch roof shed, kind of low to the ground. It was for storing fertilizer and stuff for the fields. There's also a bunch of plows, rakes, and other sort of farm implements. They're sort of just attached to a tractor and just dragged behind it. So yeah, this field is freshly planted cane. Like sugar cane has about. Oh yeah, this is a sugarcane farm, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that.
It's really big. I mean, a lot of people in Labasa have these kind of farms, and some of them are bigger, but this is a pretty good size.
Yeah, so basically, sugarcane has like a 5 to 7 year life cycle. They saw this crop rotating thing going around where they cut down one field, plant it, let it, and then cut down another section of their field, replant it, and cut down another section. It like rotates every 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, it's shifting cultivation.
Yeah. This field was just recently planted. So yeah, this small section here, they sort of burnt it down because they wanted to plant more cane here too. Oh yeah, this entire farm is like in the middle of a plateau between a whole bunch of mountains. Looks kind of spectacular for me, and you get really good cell phone reception too. Yeah, and some fertilizer has been added recently to these baby sugar canes here. I think it's NPK or some other type of mixture. So we're close to the main road now. We planted some kumala, or orange sweet potato. This was planted here yesterday. We just got some clippings from a relative's place, and we just sort of hoed up the ground a bit and just planted it in here. The ground has tons of clay mixed into it, so we have to use a lot of fertilizer. Also, there's jackfruit tree here growing next to the road. Yeah, I think the sugarcane fields over there-ish have a bit of corn in them. Like, yeah, whichever field is being planted with sugarcane, they also throw in some watermelon, some corn into the field. The watermelons usually die out after a year. The corn lasts a bit longer, but yeah. So yeah, additional fruits. Maybe we should show a close-up of this tree. So yeah, there's a couple of jackfruit here. Some of them are rotten and mushy inside. I think 1 or 2 here are about to be like really ripe and good for eating. There's also a hornet's nest up there. Like they have, like I'm not sure whether you can see it. It's like this light gray blob with a bunch of yellow stuff around it. Yeah, we should probably get out of here. So yeah, we're back in the main farm area. There used to be a huge black trailer that was used to cart cane off to the mill, like a huge black one, and we used to climb on top of it when I was small and pretend it was like a pirate ship or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Our grandfather would attach it to the tractor.
Yeah, and then tow it off with all the sugarcane loaded on after they cut it down.
Yeah.
There also used to be a bunch of bougainvilleas?
Yeah, lots of them.
I think Christmas flowers too.
Yeah, pink ones, white ones.
Yeah.
You can just see the stumps left over.
They fertilized it a bit, but nothing much is growing here anymore.
Yeah.
Also here, they tried planting a bunch of cassava here, but unfortunately the goats kept breaking out. Oh yeah, we should talk about the goats next. The goats kept breaking out and eating all the leaves and killing it, so it's now a pumpkin patch. There's a couple of pumpkins growing in there. They've covered it with coconut leaves to protect it from the hot sun.
Yeah, it gets really hot here.
We've already mentioned that.
Yeah, but like, it hardly rains. I don't know why. Isn't there supposed to be evaporation something?
Yeah.
Why doesn't it rain here?
So yeah, this also used to be a vegetable patch that was fenced off, but the goats kept eating it too. So it's just left bare now. It's been opened up and made part of the pen. There's also this electrical wire that's running all the way down to a motor over there. As I was saying, they used to have a well, they used to have a borehole. The motor for the borehole sort of went bad, and it's a very expensive motor because it needs to really suck up all the water from the ground. The government was sort of doing this thing where they would take spring water from the foot of one of these mountains and supply it to like the entire village. It cost about $300 to opt in and about $1 a month to maintain. So instead of buying a really expensive pump for a borehole, they just had a very cheap surface level pump that will suck up water that is being supplied from the foothills and pump it up into the holding tank. I don't really like Fiji water. Shreya likes Fiji water, but according to her, the water from the spring water here tastes like the water in the tap here tastes just like Fiji water. Is that right?
Yeah, like not even kidding, it tastes good. It's weird because Fiji water is usually so expensive, and here it's like running just from the taps.
So yeah, mountain spring water on tap. It's not as expensive as the borehole, but you still have to pump it all the way up. Yeah. By the way, this whole area is just a giant goat pen.
Yeah, you can see the fence running along there in the distance.
Yeah. Past the drain is the neighbor's place, so it extends there. This whole field is split into two separate pens. Back in my grandfather's time, there's only like 7-8 goats maximum, and they all had ropes around their necks, and every night we would take them from their resting ground close to the house, drag them out into the field and nail wooden stakes into the ground, like crudely whittled out wooden stakes into the ground with another giant stick, and then tie the ropes onto the goats to let them run around and graze. After grandfather died, uncle wanted to really expand the amount of goats that we had, so he just fenced off this entire area and just filled it up, and now there's like a dozen or two goats here. So yeah, the whole, like with that many goats, the whole rope tying and then dragging back up thing it's not really practical anymore.
नहीं अभी 20 मिनट हो गए 10 मिनट नहीं इसके बाद मैं जहाँ तक है.
Okay.
खाली 20 मिनट में.
Oh my.
What?
Wind. So yeah, most of the coconut trees around here were offspring of that giant coconut tree up there. That coconut tree up there produces like orangish brown coconuts, but most of its offspring produce green coconuts. Like we're not sure how that happened. That coconut tree has been cheating on someone. Most of the goats are on this side of the pen. Sometimes they escape when they go up to the mountain there.
Yeah, there's like a weak spot in the fence. They go under it.
Yeah, so there's a weak spot in the fence. They go through the fence and up onto the neighbor's place on their little hill, and then they climb back inside. Rice used to be grown down there, but now it's grown in another farm off into the distance somewhere. Oh yeah, and we're in like this little shed. It was made for this A-frame type chicken thing. It was this initiative started by a local animal feed company. I think the government also joined in with that initiative. Basically, they sell farmers like this big A-frame shaped chicken cages, and they'll keep about 2 or 3 egg-laying hens in each of these little boxes, Y-frame boxes, in each one of these Y-frame boxes. The feed company will sell them the chicks. They will sell them both the starter and the layer feed. The starter, the grower, and the laying feed. And the farmers can take the eggs, sell it in the market, and then sell the chickens back to the company once the chickens are done laying. So, yeah.
And the problem is that a lot of people already have this in Labasa, so...
Yeah, unfortunately it was too successful, and now everyone has one of these, so the market right now is flooded with eggs, so Uncle doesn't want to...
Yeah, he just got fed up. He doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, it's not as lucrative as it used to be. Basically, yeah, so the feed goes into this little gutter thing right here. When the chickens lay the eggs, they roll out over here. All the droppings fall to the bottom, and they can be used as fertilizer. And there's like this little nipple in there connected, which you provide water through. And when the chickens peck the little nipple, like a little bit of water is always dripping out onto a small tray. The chickens can drink from the tray, and if they want more water, they can just peck at the nipple, and they'll release water. Before he had right now it's connected up to the house's plumbing, but back when he started, he just had this giant like toilet cistern with one of those valves that shut off when the bulb reaches the top, like like a toilet. He had that, and he had to refill it manually. I think he originally started with like a second-hand frame. It's kind of beat up and broken. No, I think he started with experimenting with that one over there. Like that, but that one, yes, that one. He started by experimenting with that one. And after that, he bought a second-hand one, which he sold, and then he bought 2 proper ones. And there is a lot of chicken poo that is accumulated in the top level. That's because all these free-range chickens here like to roost on this. But other than that, these A-frames, all the cells in here are empty.
Yeah, the chicken poo is used for manure sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes in the vegetable patches. We shall get to them, the ones that are actually in use. Never you fear. Oh, this is just something interesting that I noticed. The coconuts here are very short. I mean, if you look around, they're really low to the ground. These coconut trees are actually quite old. It's just that the soil here is kind of poor, so their growth is kind of stunted. So yeah, I mean, we got green coconuts that are literally waist high, like literally up to your waist. I mean, there's some over there. You can just walk up to them and just twist them off like a light bulb. Use like a cane knife, machete, and just chop it up and drink it. Oh yeah, this is the old rotavator. It used to be in a little shed here, like I think next to that coconut tree, and I used to climb on top of the shed to get some of the coconuts when I was small. Or maybe the coconut tree is dead, I'm not sure. Anyway, this is broken down and all rusted up. It used to hook up to the tractor, and it would like churn up the earth underneath it. It is used for planting rice down there. Right now it's just holding this metal stake, and we use it to dehusk mature coconuts. So like just take a brown coconut and just wham, and just remove the husk off of it.
Yeah.
There's an old rusted up blue drum in here. Not sure what it used to hold, but it has an old chicken egg in it right now. That is deliberate. The chicken egg is in there to sort of, bait other chickens into laying the eggs in there, so it's all in one place. I think there's also a wood stove up there where they like to lay the eggs too. But not sure whether we can show that right now. Here's a bit of cleared land. As I was saying, the goats used to eat all the cassava that was planted up there. So they tried planting it down here, same problem. The goats jumped over this fence, ate the cassava never grew. So he's just spraying all the grass down, keeping it bare, and he's thinking of extending the goat pen up to there. And this is a vegetable patch that's still going on. I think it was my grandmother's. There is a lot of chilies in it. Can you see the chilies in the video?
I can see it like vaguely there.
Okay, yeah, but there's a whole bunch.
Get a closer shot of it later.
No, it's not necessary. There's a whole bunch of red and yellow chilies in there. We have some long beans, tomatoes, okra, ladyfingers, bindi, whatever you want to call it.
There's also capsicum somewhere in the middle there. I harvested some last time you came.
Okay, so there's capsicums up here. Oh, there's that very bitter fruit. It's weird. I'm not sure what to call it. There's some spinach. We call it chorea here. Eggplants.
Wait, I thought chorea was amaranth leaves.
What?
Chorea is amaranth leaves.
Oh, okay. Not sure what that is. There's some eggplants, holy basil.
Yeah, lots of stuff. I think they also had radish here, but I don't know if it's growing right now.
Yeah, white radish.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the tank up there. That's all the water from the borehole, the water that used to come in from the borehole, and the water that's coming in from that government supplied spring water is being pumped into that tank up there, and that provides the rest of the house.
Mm-hmm.
I think the motor down there has actually been blown. Like the motor that pumps up the spring water has also gone bad, so not sure whether they fixed it yet. And this is another religious house, religious shack, and another storage. And that's another storage room with a couple of farm implements and tools and grog pounding equipment. You know, just like a little hand grounder, mortar and pestle type stuff. So yeah, this is the old well I was talking about. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this, but I'm related to the people here through my mother's side. My mother actually grew up in this place. Yeah, when she was small. Beep, beep, beep. So yeah, she moved to Suva, the capital, but she's from here. So yeah, when she was small, they had to go with a bucket attached to a piece of rope and physically fetch out the groundwater from this well. Like, it's covered up now. And then when they got the borehole and the pump, everything was on tap. What else do we have here? Okay, we got some banana trees down there. I'm not sure whether you can see it. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's like beside you.
Okay, so there's a couple of banana trees up here. Up here. There's a couple of banana trees down there. This is a Soursop tree. There's a couple of... This is local plant. I'm not sure whether it's local, but it's very prevalent here. It's called bele. It's like this... Like, people here usually boil it and it becomes very soft and slimy. Over here, we have a starfruit tree. They usually take the they sometimes take the starfruit from these, dry it out, and make pickled preserves from it.
And that broken ladder, I think that was used to let the chickens go up to roost, but they usually use that other place we showed you earlier, that other coop.
Oh yeah. Oh, cool. So yeah, the ladder, as Shreya said, the ladder there is just for the chickens to climb up and roost in the trees during the night.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is for the wild free-range ones we have. Like everybody in Labasa and like almost everybody in the rural areas in Fiji has like chickens they just let run around their place, peck at the ground, eat worms and stuff. I think once we had this thing called mill mud. Like after the mill is done processing all the sugarcane, it takes the squeezed sugarcane and burns it for energy, and then the ashes that are left behind are discarded onto the riverbank as mill. The ashes are discarded onto the riverbank, and then after the milling season, they collect all this mud that is accumulated around the sugarcane mill, and they sell it back to the farmers as mill mud, which they can use. It's like this huge black thing, kind of soft. They can use it as fertilizer for their fields. What my grandfather used to do is he used to take some of the mill mud, just dump it there behind that garden we just showed you, And the chickens would run up and they'll scratch at it and they'll dig it apart because little worms like to grow inside there. So the chickens will scratch it up, eat the little worms, and then slowly it's just being used as fertilizer, along with the usual chemicals ones. So as I was saying, the star fruit is sometimes taken from this and turned into pickled preserves. These are the only type of pickled preserves I like, star fruit ones.
There's a chicken.
Hi. We've got a cut up plastic gallon, an old teapot, and a paint can. This is just for the chickens to drink water from. We've got a couple of old rusted up drums. These are used as chicken nests. They've got like a couple of sacks in it, and there's an old egg left in here for the chickens to come in and roost. Oops. And that's where the chickens get fed. So can you see all this mess?
Yep.
The plumbing in this place is absurd. Like, there are probably better ways of doing this.
It's just a tangled mess of pipes.
Yeah.
All meet at one place.
Yeah, these are all drainage pipes. You got one going that way. We got another one just dumping out into the ground here. We got another one just going all the way through the hill, and we got this one just dumping straight onto the ground there. And then there's a couple of pipes to take the water in to the house. Yeah, so that's just a bunch of bottles. Some people over here like to drink a lot, he says disapprovingly. So yeah, this is a little outdoor tap where we can like fill up water for the chickens and stuff. Back when I was small, the soil actually came up to the cement slab. Like over the years, like there's no grass. There's hardly any grass going around here, hardly any trees. It's mostly just clay. So over time, like during the rainy season, it rains a lot. So over time, the soil has just been slowly eroded away, forming like huge, deep ditches and stuff.
What about the kumquat tree?
Oh yeah, there's this old, like the original kumquat tree is dead. All these little kumquat trees here are offshoots of the first one. I like to take them and throw them at the chickens.
Man, so mean.
Yeah, people used to like take the tiny kumquats and eat like their food with it.
My mom likes to turn it into juice. It's like one of the best lemons for making juice here.
So,
Yeah.
well, we know where she got the habit from. I mean, that tree used to be here for a long time. And yeah, the chickens like to roost under the house over there. This is a small drum that was used for storing water, but it sort of has rusted through. Actually, I think there were lots of plants here. They just sort of cut it down because they were afraid of thieves. Somehow those two are related, and now most of the topsoil has sort of washed away.
I remember there were a lot of guava plants here as well, like the big white ones
Yeah.
that usually just grow in Labasa, but they don't have them anymore. So
Yeah, I didn't like those type of guavas anyway. Screw them.
I like them.
They're too soft.
What?
There has a weird texture. It's not guava texture.
I thought it was a bit more firm. Wait, maybe you had the overripe ones?
Yeah, maybe.
Or I don't know.
And they weren't nearly as sweet. So yeah, there's a big chicken house here. It is built out of scrap pieces of galvanized roofing iron and scrap pieces of chicken mesh, scrap pieces of wire fencing, and scrap pieces of wood. There's a couple of ducks roosting inside, but during the night the chickens sort of come and hang out in here. There's a whole bunch of branches and sticks and stuff for them to latch onto. There's also this huge breadfruit tree behind this. There used to be like a ladder that went all the way up to the tree. The chickens would climb up the ladder and roost in the tree during the night. There used to be a bunch of other smaller chicken houses where they used to keep the chickens permanently in, like it was locked down. But since it was made out of scrap wood, it eventually just rotted away. So yeah, there's also a little outhouse here that was used by Uncle before people started using the main one. And they also used to be, before this place eroded away, there used to be this huge trash mound here. They would throw the trash on and then set it on fire every once in a while.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So, village waste disposal. Just burn it.
Wait, what about the trees? The tamarind tree?
Oh yeah, there's a tamarind tree here. It's used for making stuff like chutneys, preserves, maybe sweets. And of course there's the old clothesline here. A couple of my clothes on it.
So in this area before there used to be more trees and the goats used to be tied here.
Oh yeah, there used to be like 3 hibiscus trees here.
Yeah.
And we used to bring the goats, all 3 to 7 of them up here, and they would
fight.
we'll bring them up here for the night, tie them down, and they'll just nibble on the hibiscus trees and go to sleep here.
Yeah, but in the mornings they'd also fight. I remember seeing them from the windows.
Yeah, so in the mornings they'll take them down. So yeah. So yeah, we've come around full circle. The vegetable patch is sort of to that direction. This is the last bit here. There's this old mango tree up here. It's dead now. I think the base was I'm not sure why they burnt the base, but it's dead now. As a child, I wasn't allowed to come here because there always used to be like a bunch of hornets' nests in it for some reason. Down there is a bit, they used to have pumpkins up there. I think they already harvested it and pumpkins are dead, so they just replowed the land. Not sure what they're going to plant there now. Here's some, how old is the sugarcane here?
I'm not sure. Whoa. Oh gosh.
Oh yeah.
What if it falls on the phone?
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh.
You're confused. Yeah. One of the mature coconuts, those giant brown mature coconuts, yeah, it just fell to the floor somewhere there.
That's ridiculously scary. What if it falls on us? We're like directly under a coconut tree.
Yeah, people do get injured and die from that. I think.
What? Wait,
Yeah.
did someone actually die?
If you go to Suva, along the seawall,
Yeah?
where Peace Gardens is? If you
Yeah.
walk past it, a bunch of coconut trees there have baskets around the coconuts to stop them from falling on people underneath.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but coconuts falling on people is an actual danger. I mean, it's just not sure whether did you catch that or no?
I don't know. I don't know.
No, okay, yeah, I think there might have been a small
I
thud.
looked at it. I don't know if I turned the camera. I was showing the dead mango tree and then I don't know.
Yeah, if you heard a small thud in the audio, it's from like a 2-3 kilo coconut just slamming to the floor from
Dude, I'm scared. Hurry up with the shooting.
Okay, geez. So yeah, they had a bunch of pumpkins. They had a bunch of pumpkins there. They plowed it up. These sugar canes are not too old. They're say about a year or two. They had corn in. They grew corn in the sugar cane, but that crop didn't really turn out that well. They also have like a line of chilies, a line of eggplants, and yeah. Anything else?
No, I think that's about it. And just the corn between the sugar cane.
Yeah, that didn't turn out well. Yeah, let's go into the house. So yeah, there has been a slight change of plans. It was getting really late in the afternoon at this point, so we had to resume recording on another day. And unfortunately, we couldn't really record inside the house properly because family was always inside sleeping and doing stuff. So I waited a while. Fortunately, I managed to get a short 15-minute window where they weren't around, and I quickly picked the camera and just sort of moved it around the house, and I'm just going to do a voiceover. Also, there's a cyclone going on right now, so yeah. So yeah, we're inside the house now. This is sort of the area where we left off from. As you can see out the back, that's the area where we were filming the mango tree and the outhouse. This is the cooking area. That over there is a wood stove. Traditionally, it used to be covered up with literal cow's poop. Like that entire area here used to be covered in, the ground used to be covered in cow poop. The cooking area used to be covered in cow poop. And then as it sort of dries out and it's fine, it gets kind of muddy when it's wet. They've covered the floor up with wooden boards now. But yeah, that's where all the cooking used to happen traditionally. That small platform where the pumpkins are on, made out of that corrugated roofing iron, that is used to dry the dishes, dry fruits and produce for making pickles, etc. That stone over there is used to grind up fruits and herbs and stuff to make chutneys and sauces and stuff. This wooden platform over here, they sometimes hang up clothes to dry and stuff. There used to be a chicken's nest over here too. When I was very small, I used to take baths here using a bucket and like a bowl. Here's a wash tub where all the clothes used to be washed up in. And also sometimes when rats and stuff were caught alive in these little cage traps, they used to drown them in a bucket here. And here's the bathroom used by Uncle and Auntie. This is another sort of kitchen area, an indoor kitchen area. They used to store loaves of bread and jam and biscuits and stuff here. There's another wood stove here, also covered in cow poop. The cow poop is sort of used as like a clay type substance. So yeah, we use it for like anything that needs to be like fireproof or smooth. Yeah, the wood stove was in use at this point. I forgot what they were doing. I think they were trying to boil corn. You know, corn that was picked from the field, but I'm not exactly sure. So yeah, this used to be another main kitchen area. A whole bunch of tin plates and tin cups and stuff was stored here. The washing machine wasn't here. They didn't have a washing machine until very recently. They did have an old sink here. They had a table over there where they would store produce taken from the vegetable patches. Sometimes, occasionally, they would have like a little box which they keep newborn baby chicks in until they're big enough to be let out onto the field. Right now, we've strung up a bunch of ropes when we came for a visit, and we are drying our clothes on it. Yeah, I think they used to clean dishes using like bits of coconut husk. Like they'll take mature coconuts, remove the husks. Like most of the husk is burnt, but sometimes they take the coarse fiber out and they use it to rub the grease and stuff off of plates. And I think they use regular soap instead of dish soap back then. Oh yeah, by the way, this whole area here is barely being used nowadays. It's mostly just the bathrooms that are still being utilized by Uncle and Auntie. This main house here is owned by my grandfather, who is now dead, and my grandma. And, you know, since my grandma is sick, she can't really walk that far away from her bedroom. So this area over here is not really being utilized that much. There is a separate smaller house, which you might have seen earlier in the footage. That is where my uncle and auntie stay. But unfortunately, I can't really film in there because, you know, invasion of privacy and all that sort of stuff. So yeah. Oh yeah, that bench over there also has a bit of cat food on it. There's this little gap in between the roofs where the cats like to hang out. And here's the old pantry. It's a bit emptier now. We've got ghee and preserves and that sort of stuff. And old pans and... Yes, okay, more pots, more pans. And that used to be the only fridge around here. So yeah, my grandfather would often fill up empty juice bottles with water, put it in the deep fridge, and let it freeze into ice. He would then take them into the field on his tractor, and then slowly through the day they'll sort of melt. And since it's a huge chunk of ice, they'll take a while, and you'll always have like a constant supply of ice water. So yeah, this is sort of the main sitting area. This is sort of a small bed where my grandfather liked to take naps in. That's the main entrance. There's a small sink there that I'm not sure why that's there. Hardly anyone uses it, even when I was around. As you can see, this is how it connects to the house. Visitors like to come and stay around here. This is where they have a nice chat. There are marigolds outside past the fence. And on the little ledges up there, there used to be also screwdrivers, hammers, spanners, screwdrivers, all sorts of tools over there. There also used to be belts sort of strung up on that wire mesh. And cane knives used to be lodged in the gap between the timbers and the wire mesh too, sort of towards the bottom. Also, a very long time ago, I built a very crude automatic door closing mechanism for that thing, where I took like a small piece of string, I tied it to the door, put it around a nail, and then put a plastic bag full of rocks on the other end. And it would sort of kind of close the door after somebody opened it. I didn't know what I was doing back then. I was only like 5 to at most 10 years old. I don't think anyone actually remembers that. Oh yeah, that's the switch that controls the pump. It used to be for the borehole. Now it's for the spring water. So yeah, when somebody turned that pump on, we all sort of had to listen. And eventually, once the tank got full, water would spill out onto the ground. And when somebody heard the water spilling, they'd had to rush out and switch the switch off. So yeah, in this room, there used to be a landline phone here. There also used to be a table where there was an old computer, and I used to like play MS Paint on it. I think my uncle brought it for his work. It's been converted into a kitchen that's, much closer to the bedrooms. There isn't a wood-fired stove in here. Instead, it's all gas. There's rice cooker, gas stoves, a sink. The cabinets don't have handles on them. You'll have to use a knife to open it. There's a couple of our stuff in there. The cats back in the day like to climb onto the roof from the window here. Also, excuse the flickering. I mean, fluorescent lights, what do you do? And this is my grandmother's bedroom. My cousin, who is, the child of the uncle and auntie that stays here, and myself, we used to sleep on this bunk bed back when I was small. Now it's just being used as storage space. And it would get really dark at night. Really, really dark. That ceiling fan has been around for ages. My grandmother sleeps on that big bed there with my sister right now. And that's another small prayer area that's sort of indoors. It has a bunch of religious idols and stuff inside. Coat hangers. So yeah, back in the early days, before I came over to visit, this is where grandfather and grandmother used to sleep. Grandfather still used to sleep in this place, but grandmother sort of switched into the other room. That little thing over there that's sort of covered up in fabric, that's my grandmother's old sewing machine. It is leg powered. That's a little rechargeable fan that my grandmother likes using now. That ceiling fan has also been around for ages. And here is the bathroom and toilet that is being used by my grandma. Oh yeah, and that's the little kitchen area over there where we started off our house tour from. There's also a little sink here for brushing your teeth. So yeah, back to the main living area. These couches have been around for absolute ages. They've been moved around a bit, but otherwise mostly the same. Most of these decorations and stuff has been around for... Oh, by the way, that ceiling over there, you see that ceiling over there? Yeah, that collapsed a couple of days later. Cats were playing above it, and the wood there is kind of weak, so it collapsed, knocked that green clock off the wall, broke it, and the cat sort of landed on my grandmother's lap. She was sitting on the sofa right over there. And yeah, we just fixed it like a day or two later, I think on Christmas, with like a piece of wood. Just, put a piece of wood there and nailed it. Yeah, These stuffed animals have also been around for ages. I think there used to be a TV here or something. That fridge over there is being used heavily by my grandma now, since it's much closer. That's a new flat screen TV that I'm not sure who bought it. I think it was my mom who bought that. With like a DVD player. Yes, DVD players are still popular in Fiji for some reason. And a small little receiver box that's for this digital TV system that the government is trying to push. Oh, so yeah, here's a couple of family photos of people who are dead. And people who are still alive but much older than they appear in the photos. And a couple of huge cowrie shells too. By the way, that table there used to be against those windows. We would draw and doodle and do stuff like that on that table when we were bored. So, yeah, this has been a tour of my family's sugarcane farm. I know that I haven't really recorded myself doing any of the farm activities, but to be fair, I didn't want to be too much of a nuisance. Everyone was kind of busy at this point, and I didn't really plan too much for this. I might be coming back to this place next year, but this is all I've recorded for now, so do all the usual YouTube stuff. Goodbye. So yeah, now I'm gonna insert some footage of the hot springs at Soursop.
done it. Don't worry, look at it.